وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. All praise be to Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon His Prophet Muhammad and those who follow in his footsteps till the last day. Just started recording here. Inshallah, we will be discussing what we actually were talking about last time, and it was about the haqiqa and majaz in Sharia. Okay, and we said that haqiqa and majaz in Sharia are, haqiqa and majaz in Sharia. We have opinions of ulama. Inshallah, we can just go to the book to read from the book, and we can see, as we can see here, that some ulama on page, we were on page, yes, kalam is also, yani, they divided it into haqiqa and majaz as we discussed last time, and we said that some ulama, and this is the most likely to be the true opinion, they held, or they hold the opinion that there is no majaz, no metaphors, no figurative meaning exists in both Quran and in Arabic language. And we said that those ulama said so as to avoid the problem that arises from the people of Kalam, or those who, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us, the people of Bid'ah, who would twist the meanings of Sharia from their right meaning. Okay, they try to twist the meanings of Sharia from their true meanings, and they say it's figurative. So when they come to anything that they would like, to reject it or to deny it, they would say this is, figurative meaning. It's not, it cannot qualify for the true meaning. So those ulama, they closed this door and they said, there is no way that we can admit, majaz. Okay, that we can say there is a majaz. The second category of ulama held the opinion that some scholars say that there is no majaz in the Quran, but there is in the Arabic language. According to the book Kitab al-Iman, this is the opinion of Abu Hassan al-Juzairi and Ibn Hamid from the Hanbali madhab, and Muhammad ibn Khuwaiz Miqdad from the Maliki madhab, and Dawood al-Zahiri and his son Abu Bakr. The third opinion, they said there is majaz in the Arabic language as well as in the Quran. This is the opinion of Al-Qadi Abu Ya'la, Ibn Aqil, Abu al-Khattab, and others from the Hanbali madhab school. And Ibn Qudama said, you see, Ibn Qudama, rahimahullah, also mentioned in his book, Rawdat al-Nadir, he gave preference to this opinion. And As-Sarakhsi in his book, Al-Burhan fi Ulum al-Quran, Al-Zarkashi in his book, Al-Burhan fi Ulum al-Quran, attributes this opinion to the majority of scholars. We can go to the to the 99, okay, 99 footnote in the book, and here Dawood ibn Ali al-Zahiri, who was born in Kufa, and his early fiqh studies were under Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, students. Sorry, Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah, students. يعني داود الظاهري ibn Ali al-Zahiri, and they called him al-Zahiri because he took the apparent meanings of the Sharia, and he objected on any, analogy in Sharia, not even looking into the reasons and the wisdoms behind the legislation. So this Dawood al-Zahiri, he said, okay, he later inclined towards the study of hadith and joined the hadith circle of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. He continued to study under Imam Ahmad until he was expelled from Imam Ahmad's classes because he voiced the opinion that the Quran was muhdath, okay, newly existent, and therefore created. After his expulsion, he took an independent path of reasoning based on the obvious and literal meanings, al-Zahir, of the texts of the Quran and the Sunnah. Because of his, because of this approach, his madhab came to be known as the Zahiri madhab, and he became known as Dawood al-Zahiri, and this was mentioned in a Tarikh al-Tashri' al-Islami. Abdullah ibn Muhammad ibn Qudama ibn Miqdam was born, 1146, almost 500 or 600 of Hijrah, in Nablus, Palestine. His family shifted to Damascus when he was the age of 10. There he studied the Quran and memorized Al-Khiraqi summary, Mukhtasar Al-Khiraqi, is a book in Hanbali madhab, fiqh. And, later he traveled with his uncle Al-Hafiz Abdul Ghani to Baghdad and studied under many of the leading scholars there. Ibn Qudama, rahimahullah ulamana, continued to study jurisprudence, fiqh, until he became the leading scholar of the region and an authority for understanding the Hanbali madhab and its fundamental principles. Also, Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi wrote the following to prove the existence of majaz. We said that Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, said there is majaz even in the Quran. He said majaz is a part of the Arabic language and its customary use. It may call something by the name something else if it is beside it or caused by it. Portions of statements are, in Arabic language, what he meant is that it might be him, we might call in Sharia something due to the existence of something closer to it, like, the غائط, as he will give, he said portion of statement are deleted for brevity. If there remains something to indicate what was deleted. In possessive constructions, which is called mudaf and mudaf ilayh, okay, usually sometimes we delete the mudaf ilayh, the mudaf, sorry, and we keep the mudaf ilayh in its place and conjugate it accordingly. And other forms of majaz, he said, the Quran was revealed with Arabic expressions, trends, and terminologies. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala most high said, جِدَارًا يُرِيدُ أَن يَنْقَضْ, a wall which wanted or intended to fall. Yurid here to do something. It's this is a quality of human beings or living beings. So how come a wall that he would intend and he would have the ability? This was mentioned. This is in Surah Al-Kahf, ayah number 77. He said this ayah affirms majaz. Okay. Uh, he said affirming majaz does not necessitate explaining away the divine attributes or negating them. Based on that, on what was previously mentioned, the Quranic ayat can be divided into two groups. One group in which majaz is not allowed to be there, the ayat of the divine attributes, the ayat, comprising divine attributes. There should be no majaz, towards this. And the other group in which majaz is allowed to enter, the ayat besides the ayat on on the divine attributes, as mentioned in the writings of Shafi'i and Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi, and like the Almighty's statements, وَاخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاحَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ, and mercifully lower for them the wing of humility. And we know that, there is no real wing. So they said, yani, it was used here figuratively. And the Almighty's statement, أو جاء أحد منكم من الغائط, or if one of you comes from defecation. And al-ghait here is actually originally is a word for the place which is very low, lowly, that nobody, if one goes into that, hole or on that place, nobody would attend or can see him. And he cannot see the person going into that lowly place. And the ulama, they said this is the ghaib. Like in Syria, there is a place which is called Al-Ghouta. Al-Ghouta, and it is the lowest place on the whole world, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran in Surah Al-Rum, where he mentioned that, the battle that took place between Persia and Rome, and the Rome will get victorious over them in Adna al-Ard. Adna al-Ard, it's called Al-Ghouta or Al-Ghaid, the place which is very lowly, and it was used for defecation, called Al-Ghaid, because people usually, they tend to go into a place where nobody can see them, you know, so it was used Al-Ghaid there. So some ulama, they said Al-Ghaid here is used as a metaphor or as, figuratively. It's not the real meaning. However, as we know, we would come into this, inshallah, or actually we answered this before, that it has been, used in this meaning, and this is the usage. So nobody can attain to say it is not the usage. Plus now we come to realize this is the usage by the Arabs. So is it now, can it be real? خلاص, Ghayat is known, it is defecation, while Ghota, or the place which is, very low, could be named Ghayat too. He said both of these are majaz, figurative, because it is using an expression other than its original meaning, due to the existence of a context preventing its use according to its literal meaning, haqiqa. Again, we have to clarify here that those who said, majaz is figurative, is used here figuratively, they cannot distinguish between haqiqa and majaz. And this is the problem why some ulama, they said, the usage you know, whenever you use it, whether here or there, we will know, the meaning. Okay. So because the word by itself cannot render us a full meaning because it might have so many meanings. We cannot say this is haqiqa and this is majaz unless if it is used in a context, then we can know what does it mean exactly. As we said, Asad, usually the people will think that it is the lion, okay, the animal, okay, in the desert. However, if you say that I met Ahmed, Al-Asad, Ahmed the lion, or I met Ahmed and I found him, you know, like a lion, or he, a lion I met a lion who greeted me or who shook hand with me, you know. We know that it cannot be, you know, the animal, okay? So that's why through the meaning that we get from the full sentence, we come to realize this. So he said, if that's understood, then neither group misstates the other. As it as is it possible to affirm the ayat on divine attributes of Allah Most High according to their appropriate original meaning, while negating from them majaz. At the same time, it is possible to affirm majaz ayat other than those of the divine attributes, as affirming majaz in one of the two groups does not misstate affirming it in the other group. Yani, this is one of the ways, maybe this is an further explanation by Dr. Bilal Phillips. And we would say, you know, that actually, if one would deal the, the meaning in some parts of the Quran, then those people will say, what's the difference? Okay. If you say that this is majaz, we say this is majaz. And that's why ulama, they closed this door and they said, this is a usage in Arabic language and prove to us that this is the haqiqah of the word and the majaz in that the Arab had mentioned it or had said so. And nobody has, nobody till now is able to to reveal that the Arabs used to use the majaz as a figurative, or metaphor. No, this is a usage of the language. Okay, so don't we should not differentiate it because this differentiation was first introduced by the you know by the deviant sects as to deny and reject the attributes and the names of Allah or the descriptions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said because affirming majaz requires context qarina, which according to the people of the Sunnah does not exist in the divine attributes ayat, as it is possible in the Almighty's statements, وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ, and your Lord came. So to attribute the quality of coming to Allah, to the Almighty, in a way which befits His Majesty, His glory, and that's what is obligatory. Now, because some people they said وَجَاءَ رَبُّكَ, this is figurative. It means His mercy comes, or His power, or His judgment day. And we come again to say that no, there is no metaphor here, it's apparent and direct meaning. Because that's, he said, what the Quranic text indicates, and it is logical possible. It's logically possible. As similarities in attributes does not misstate similarity in their realities. And again, we say, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ability to do whatever He wills, supreme example to Him. And human beings or creatures have their ability, and abilities, there is no similarity between both because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has what befits His majesty and His, absoluteness, while human beings, their ability is limited. And thus we say in all the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like he said here, see Majmu' al-Fatawa, this is Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. Others affirm majaz in divine attributes due to the existence of context which prohibits use of the expression according to its literal meaning. The qarina, according to them, is that the intellect finds it impossible to ascribe coming to Allah most glorious, most high, because misstates making Allah resemble His creatures, who are also described as coming. This is the doubt of those who negate Allah's attributes. That's why, Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, in his book, he said there is no majaz. Because those people, they said, yes, there is qarina. Okay, the qarina is that if we say that Allah is, comes, then He would be like creatures. To bring an example to him. And those people want to confine Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as having no ability to do whatever He wills. And this is another problem that we, he who affirms majaz would fall into. So again, we go back and say that those who say that there is no majaz in Arabic language are, their opinion is more profound and more outstanding and grounded in knowledge, and Allah knows best. طيب, he said, this is he said a book called غاية المراد, غاية المرام for Al-Amidi. From what has proceeded, it is clear that those who affirm majaz in the Quran also belong to two groups. One group which did not allow the majaz in the, in the names and attributes of Allah. And instead they affirmed Allah's attributes, okay, mentioned in the Quran, according to their literal meaning, in a way befitting to the most glorious to Allah, while preventing majaz in them. This is the madhab of those who affirm majaz from among Ahl Sunnah. The other group was driven by their intellectual doubts to explain away or negate altogether the reality of Allah's attributes mentioned in the Quran by affirming majaz in them. This is the madhab of the scholastic theologians. Okay, I don't know even the use of scholastic theologians. Instead, أهل الكلام. أهل الكلام, the ulama, they said, are those who are fond of just oxymoron ideas, oxymoronic ideas, philosophy, and they just deal into more debatable issues and discussions, which takes one away from the what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants from us and His messenger. He said those mutakallimin and those who agreed with them. Due to this, it was said that affirmation of majaz was a means to explaining away or completely negating the divine attributes. And this is معالم في أصول الفقه. طيب, when we go back to the main context and we look into those other group, on page 70, sorry, on page, yes, let's go. Yes, he said we will briefly explain the division of kalam into haqiqa and majaz according to those who make this distinction. The haqiqa, actual meaning, linguistically is taken from the word haq, meaning established or firm or true or original meaning. Technically, it refers to a word used according to its original meaning in conversation. For example, the word lion refers to a ferocious animal, and sun refers to the bright star, and so on. we just stop her and say that how come those people would know that these are the original no meanings. Okay, is it is this the only meaning used for lion, asad? Okay, like as you know, asad was having a lot of names, and some said that it has 1,000 names. Maybe these 1,000 are descriptions. Okay, like a lathe uh, and uh, you know uh, lion الأسد والليث والهزبر and so on. There are so many names. But these descriptions or names, does it have a connotation to those people who gave these names? We cannot be quite sure that the Arabs, you know, negotiated, that let's look into this, you know, vigorous animal and call him Asad. And if it is used in the others, we would say it is used because Asad means, brave, bravery. So we will say that this man is Asad, means he's a brave man. This is a problem that we cannot guarantee or we cannot assure this. And the sun, he said, refers to the bright star. Is it? We cannot even be sure of that. The phrase in conversation divides حقيقة into three categories: لغوية, عرفية, and شرعية. They said whenever we mention something, this word might have three realities: حقيقة لغوية in language, حقيقة عرفية in عرف, in the customary usage of either a group of people or a field of knowledge. And for example, if you were with the people who are working in a computer lab and you say, uh, look at Alfara, the mouse. Look for me a mouse. Get me the mouse. Okay. All of them will know that it is this one. Okay. But if there was no computers, the people will think that it is something else. Okay. So الحقيقة العرفية, this is it. In language, alfar could mean this animal, which is known, it's a very small animal that the people, don't like usually. الحقيقة الشرعية sometimes modify the linguistic meaning and could even modify عرفية, like in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ when he was asked about who's al-muflis, who's the real bankrupt or broke. And he ﷺ said, the real muflis, okay, is the one who doesn't have, the Sahaba, according to their urf and according to the lugha they know, al-muflis is a person who is bankrupt, who doesn't have any money. The Prophet ﷺ said, rather, the muflis, and this is the meaning of real muflis, is the one who would come on the day of judgment with a lot of good deeds, but he would have all of them, devalued due to his, evil, which he had done, as per the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, is the meaning. He would have beaten this and taken, the backbite in this, done this bad to that person, taken the money from that person, and he would, all of those people will, will take of his good deeds, and when it perishes, he will be taken to hell. May Allah save us. And that's the real muflis. Now we got to know that Lughawi or Urfi meaning for the Sahaba, was not like the الشرعي meaning. Okay. He said the حقيقة اللغوية, it is the use of a word according to its original meaning. Again, saying original meaning is a problematic. Okay, it's a problematic. Okay, because we cannot attain to say this. But we could say it's the use of a word according to the linguistic or the meaning given in the language, or we can say the general or the famous or the well-known meaning in language. And he said, for example, the word lion refers to a carnivorous animal. حقيقة عرفية is customary and it refers to the customary usage of a word culturally or technically, because we have either it is used culturally or technically. Technically amongst people of a field, okay? And this category can be further subdivided into two classes, عامة and خاصة. And, due to its complication, I don't think we will be able to finish it, inshallah, in this, in this class. So we will leave this. We will leave those three things to next class to talk about them, inshallah, in more details. يعني the حقيقة اللغوية, الحقيقة العرفية and their divisions, عرفية عامة or عرفية خاصة. And inshallah, the next week, inshallah, we'll carry on. If you have questions, we will address them today. If there is no questions, we will inshallah stop here. And next week, we will carry on so that as to finish this part and go to the majaz, what does it mean? And majaz al-laghawi, what does it mean? And the second, the types of relationship in majaz. A bit involved, but we must get to know it so as not to be fooled by the by the deviants, because those philosophers or those mutakallimin who tends to use philosophy and try to give a lot of discussions, they make from a mole, a mountain from a mole, just to confuse people. But if we go to realities, we would know and realize that those people, they don't have, actually basis. And the best thing we do to those people is always to go and say to them, was this known by the Prophet ﷺ and his companions? Is it a part of Sharia? And if they said, is it a part of Sharia or not? They would say, no, it's part of Sharia. Then we would say, was it known by the Prophet ﷺ and his companions? They would say, yes. We said, okay, then show us where it is. If there is nothing mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ to distinguish between what they called haqiqah and majaz, then we would go to them and say, this means that the Prophet ﷺ did not speak about it and he was silent. Okay? So if he was silent, ﷺ, and he did not mention something about that, then please don't confuse people, to these issues, and keep quiet as it was. Okay? Because you will end up either say that the Prophet ﷺ did not speak about it, then how come you got and you have the courage to proceed, between or in the presence of Allah and His Messenger, and you say, we know something that the Prophet ﷺ, did not mention it to the people, nor Abu Bakr, nor Umar, nor the three blessed generations, nor the, the greatest, scholars in the Ummah. So this is the point, and we have to be careful, in the usage. We have to know and realize this, inshallah, as not to fall into this. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to the way most pleasing to Him. If you have questions, inshallah, you can ask. If there is no questions, we will, inshallah, stop here. And next week, we will carry on, inshallah. Okay. There is no questions, inshallah. We'll close, inshallah, conclude our topic by sending salah and salam on our messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to the way most pleasing to him. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك الهدى والتقى والعفاف والغنى. اللهم إنا نعوذ برضاك من سخطك وبمعافاتك من عقوبتك ولا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.